Hi everyone, I'm Josh, and welcome to my channel, Josh's Bookish Voyage. Today I'm going to give my October TBR. This month I'm going to be participating in a couple reading-athons, Blackoweenathon, and the other one being the Gothtober, that's what it is. And technically I think within my Gothic TBR, there may be at least one book that fits the Victober TBR as well. But it's important to note that all of these books on this TBR are books that I wanted to read already, and they happen to fit into the themes of these other TBRs. Last year I went and I did like 4 or 5 different readathons, damn it, last year, and I got so stressed out. This year I just have a stack of books I want to read, and they happen to fit into these readathons, which I'm excited for. I'm excited to share them with you. I'm excited to read them. Now, that said, let's start with the 2 books that just casually do not fit into either of these readathons. And they're both books by popular, kind of old popular horror white men writers. First one being, I want to finish this goddamn book, Ghost Story by Peter Straub, a book that I got through like 3/4 of last year, and I decided to stop. It's a book about a bunch of old white men who start telling stories about when they saw a ghost and the war over their life. And I must say, I don't find the characters likable. I don't find them at all connectable, which generally, like, I like having characters that are contemptible, but I feel like it's the kind of book where you have characters that are meant to be likable. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he's not trying to make them unlikable. They just are. They're privileged white men, and it's hard to give a shit about them. And I really struggle to connect with this book, which is disappointing because it's supposed to be one of the best horror books of all time, one of the scariest ones of all time, and it just didn't work. I even started and may continue a reading vlog I was doing for this last year, where I was going out and I was listening to the audiobook while I biked in the dead of night all by myself, to optimize the horror, and it just did not work. But it wasn't so bad that I'm giving up on it. I mean, I did for a year technically, but I think this is a good time to finish it. It's like 3 hours of audiobook left. And I remember enough of it, I guess, to finish it off. We'll see. I am excited. I mean, I'm nervous, excited, blah, blah, blah. Okay, next is a book that is one that I'm just really curious about. I must say, like, this book is not something I've ever heard anyone talk about. But it's an author who I think is known for other reasons besides this book, which is Clive Barker's Weave World, Clive Barker being the author of The Hellbound Heart, more formally known as Hellraiser, the Cenobites, demons to some, angels to others.
Who are you?
Explorers in the further regions of experience, demons to some, angels to others.
I wanted to read a book by him, and I've heard mixed things about Hellbound Heart, so I picked up the next best one that I could find. This is supposed to be a dark fantasy horror. I am worried that it's going to be more strictly dark fantasy than horror, but I'm hoping it'll be a mix of the two. I'm thinking like Stephen King at its most fantastical and most horrific. That's what I'm really hoping for from this. And we'll see whether or not it actually pays off. But I'm excited to get to it. And I'm so sorry. I will stop saying excited. Obviously I'm excited. I mean, I am to varying degrees, but it's the only adjective I seem capable of sharing. And I'm so sorry. I don't know why I keep saying it. Let's now move on to my Blackathon TBR. These are all books that generally I've been wanting to read for a long time. First one, actually, let's start with the buddy read. This is one that, if you've been on my channel before, you might have seen me talk about because I was unhauling it. And that is The Confessions of Franny Langston by Sarah Collins, which is a book about I believe, an enslaved narrative about a young woman who escaped slavery. And it's supposed to be a thriller, maybe horror. I think it's just like a thriller type of book. And I don't know what I thought about this. I got it from when I was still ordering from Book Outlet, I guess a year and a half ago now, 2 years ago now. And it was in an order. They sent me more books than I actually paid for, and this was one of them. And I never actually looked into it. And then I was unhauling it, but then when I went to give it away basically to my sister or my stepmom, I give them my books, I was reading them the back of it, like I was reading about it, and I realized that I actually kind of like what's going on, and I probably should have put a little bit of effort into thinking about what I was getting rid of. But the way I figured was I'm already so invested in books, no need to get myself invested in more. And I'm glad I did keep it, because now we have a book that ends up being a buddy read, and I can managed to fit it into my buddy read, and fit into the buddy read. I can fit myself into the buddy read and be a part of it, which I'm excited for. This is one of the few books on this TBR that I added specifically for the readathon. Everything else being pretty much just, because I wanted it. So that was the one exception to not letting the readathons rule my life this year. Next up is a book that I've wanted to read for quite a while. That is Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark. And I think I've owned this for a while now, maybe not, but I've intentionally held on to it just because it's one of my newest books and I try not to read them too fast, which I say all the time. But this is a story set during Jim Crow, I think. And it's basically a story, like a dark fantasy story, where we have the KKK who are monsters of some sort and you're hunting them down. I've heard this is like a dystopian world and one that does a really good job of, I guess, handling these very difficult issues, or very serious issues rather, while simultaneously being really good at using the genre very effectively. So there's that word, I'm so close to saying it. I have high expectations for this book, particularly because I think it's going to work really well for like the October season. Next is one that I think is less horror and more just like it is a ghost story. I think that is The In Between by Tanner Do. I want to say like a Lost Love or something. It's one of those books where I wasn't looking too much into it. I do like this cover, the artistic side of it. It's really interesting, but it's being released on audio this month or late September, I don't know. And I'm excited. Damn it, I can't not say that. And I am hopeful. I am hopeful for this book. I don't know what to expect, which has me a little worried. I'm not gonna lie. This isn't one of the books that I am most enthused about, but I am hoping that it's one of those books that will surprise me, even though it's not the flashiest book that I've seen people talk about. Actually, I haven't heard anyone talk about this book. Another reason why I'm kind of eager to read it. Read books other people aren't reading. And next, the last book on my TBR for Blackoweenathon is going to be The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. And I won't lie, YA horror, or at least that's what I thought this was. I'm not sure if it is or not, honestly. I'm hesitant, been very hesitant, but then I've heard enough people talk about it that I'm sufficiently intrigued. I mean, this seems as if it's capable of being a good horror book, not just a fantasy witch book that's sort of horror themed. That's really exactly what I want from it, and hopefully it'll give me that. There I did, not even close to saying excited, which I am though. Next, I have a stack of books that I want to show you. This is the last set of them. Basically, what I have here, like I have a week that I plan on setting aside, or at least I'm gonna pick a week during October to dedicate to just reading Gothic and classic horror. That's this stack here. I don't want to go through them. Was I thinking? I don't want to go through all them individually, but I have here these books. Like, this is a collection of H.P. Lovecraft. This is more symbolic of potentially one story of his I'll read. To be clear, I'm not going to read this whole goddamn book. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Wuthering Heights, which is probably the top priority of this list, The Birds and the Stories by Daphne du Maurier, one of her apparently most unnerving, and Then There Were None, a thriller that I wanted to throw in here that I'm actually really truly super psyched for. So another one I'll probably prioritize. Right now I'm reading like 2 books a week, so I don't know if I get through all these. We'll see how well it goes, but the way I figure is I'll give myself these books to choose from and I'll pull from them as I will. And I think it's possible because they're all sort of sufficiently thin for the most part to get through them. We'll see. But I have these other books that are like priority, and these are just giving me an opportunity to delve into these other stories. And like I said, Wuthering Heights is the #1 priority of this list, one that I wanted to get to last year and did not get to. And if I get to Wuthering Heights, I think it'll satisfy Gothtober and Victober. And that's it. I technically have other books I'd like to read, like say the Octavia Butler slow read. I don't want to read that book in November when that live show is, so I technically should read in October, but it's not one I'm prepared to plan for. So we'll see if that fits in somewhere. I don't know. I think I have plenty of books to keep me satisfied this month, and if something changes, something changes. I am comfortable with leaving my TBR somewhat tiny. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, there's 4 weeks in October, And I have basically planned out 2 books a week, ignoring my, my classic TBR there that I have. And so this is going to be a good month, I think. I think I've really set myself a reasonable goal that I can get to. October isn't going to be too busy with school. I don't think so. You never know. These things have a habit of just coming out of nowhere like that. And yeah. So that's my TBR. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're as excited, there's that word again, about these books as I am. And have a great day and stay safe, okay? Oh, and also, if you like this video, like it. If you liked it, like it. Thank you. Goodbye.